So today on Outside Unleashed, we are going to be removing this bad scope from this Remington 700 chambered in 243. You can see that it is clear. We're going to be putting on a new scope. Alright, in installing this new scope, we're going to be using a couple tools. First and foremost, we have the Wheeler fat wrench, torque wrench. Here we have the scope leveling kit. These are the rings that we'll be installing. Weaver quad lock highs. I'm going to be using some gun scrub to make sure that the threaded holes are clear of any debris or oil. I'm going to be using the Wheeler 220 grit lapping compound for lapping the rings. We have red Loctite for the bases, blue Loctite for the rings, and some Q-tips or power swabs made by Tipton. We have our Wheeler gunsmithing screwdriver set here, and then the actual lapping bar kit. The other tool we're going to use, which I almost forgot to mention, is this MTM gun vise. This locks the gun in place so that you can work on it. And this is the scope we will be installing. It's not a very expensive scope, but the method in installing it is the same on any price of scope. Let's start by removing these caps. I already found the bit size that it is. It is a metric 3mm. Look at that. Haha. So, I just undid these screws. I haven't even touched the back side. This front ring, I just found out, is loose. That would be a huge problem. Look at that. Oh-ho! Another surprise. We have a brass, looks to be, shim in here. That's incredible. Not sure why that was in there, but we will be removing all of these rings. That's incredible. Okay, let's unlock our vise. Tilt this so we can remove these rings. Now, I want to remove these rings and verify that 1, there's Loctite in there, and 2, that they are torqued to spec. Good old gun scrubber. Works real good at stripping oils and stuff off. Okay. There's our flathead, we get him prepped. I use red Loctite on my vases. I do not want them moving, ever. See, moved, didn't like it. Its threads are little tiny screw. Alright, so 134 on my chart up here. 131 to 138, 18 to 20 inch-pounds. So 134 is on the lower end of that, so we'll probably go for 18. Next step is to install our rings. So we'll go ahead and get this out and prep this. Actually, before I even do that, I'm going to verify that the bolt still functions, since I just put these base screws in. Works properly. Leave this loose and show you something. If you look, there is play between your ring and the base. Now as you fire this gun, the gun's going to travel backwards. So you want to take that slack up before you tighten this. So you're going to push forward on that ring when you tighten this down. Same with the rear. You have play, push forward, snug this down. We're looking at 134 on that as well. So that's going to be 18 to 20. Inch-pounds. 18 to 20 inch-pounds. Get him torqued down. Holding forward. There we go. We're going to take off the tops of our rings. Here we have the bases of the rings. Here we have a tool, two of them, that actually will show you if your rings are mismatched, misaligned. And if we look, they're not quite perfect. So that's what makes lapping these so important. When you lap them, if I was to mount that scope right now, it's going to be an uneven amount of pressure. It's not going to have a good contact surface between the scope and the rings. here's our lapping bar and its handle. What our goal is to remove roughly 75% of this painted surface. That way you'll have about 75% of your scope contacting the base of this ring. So if we look right now, zoom in maybe, they are both solid black with paint. These are made out of aluminum, so it won't take long to remove material between there and there. So now we need our lapping compound, just like we're lapping valves on a car. I'm going to put lapping compound in here. And we're going to try to keep that stuff out of the holes. Grab a paper towel. Let me take our bar. We're going to do light down pressure and back and forth. I'm just going to make our rings perfectly in line with each other. We zoom in, you can see back here it's black, up here it's aluminum in color. This black areas would not even contact the scope, so only the bright areas would be touching the scope. That lapping bar makes it so that more of this base contacts that scope, and it also makes sure that it's in a straight line. Zoom in here. You can see at least 75% there. That one a little more than 75, but I think it was worth it to get better contact on the rear. I'm going to take these indicators again, set them in here, see if they line up better. Oh, that one's trying to fall out. But with the naked eye, those points come together exactly perfect. That's when you lap. Looks like it fits in there perfect. Now, there is a technique to setting your eye relief. I'll cover that in a different video. one of these days, we have figured out our eye relief off of camera. I'll briefly describe how I do it. You crank your scope up on the highest power. This scope, it is 9. I close my eyes and shoulder the weapon to where it feels natural. I open my eye and look to see if I can see a full field of view out the scope. If it's gray or black around the outside, I know I have to push it forward or back until I have a full view of in the scope. Once I have that forward and back, the eye relief set. Now this scope is just snug in there. I can move it back and forth. I take a permanent marker and I'll actually mark those top of the ring bands. I know when I put this back on there, if I have this scope locked down with the permanent marker on either side of these ring bands, my eye relief will be correct. I'm not worried about leveling the scope right now. As you can see, I can still move it. So now I'm going to remove these and begin the leveling process. Now this is our Wheeler scope leveling kit. This is going to make sure that your crosshairs are true, straight above your the bore axis of your rifle. So you level the gun in the vise, then you level the scope to the gun and torque everything to spec. I'll show you how we do that. We use this to level the gun. Once the gun is level, we clamp this to the barrel. Okay. Alright, so if we look right there, our gun is level. Now we have to affix this to the barrel, and I'll bring it up once I get there. Can't see it from your view, but the gun is still level. Now we're going to come over here and we have this clamp to the barrel. Our fine adjustment is in this knob here. We crank this until it's level. Not sure if you can see that bubble. Okay. Alright. That's showing level. That's showing level there. I'm going to take our scope. This is your left and right adjustment. This is your up and down adjustment. We're going to line this up with our bands on those marker lines. I'm going to use blue Loctite on these to hold the bands to the bottom of the rings so that they do not back out. I'm going to add blue Loctite to the band screws. Don't know if we needed that much. Doing here, I'm going to adjust that gap on our bands to make it roughly even, but allow the scope to still move so I can get my eye relief back and level. Eye relief looks good right there. Again, eye relief is forward to back. Now we need to verify that the gun's still level, and then level the scope, torque to spec. That looks level. Now we torque these to spec. These are 0135, so they're going to be 18 to 20. Looks like we're at 18. Now as I tighten this down, I have to watch to make sure that I don't tighten it too quickly one way or the other and adjust the levelness of our scope. So I'm going to try to do this evenly. Crisscrossing back and forth. Probably should put it in all the way before I try turning it. There you have it. That scope is now professionally mounted to that gun. Should be able to carry this thing for years and not have a bit of trouble. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.